Chosen one, what I'm about to reveal will shock you to your core. Something is happening with you that even the gods themselves were never allowed to experience. A team of researchers, ancient historians, and sacred professors have uncovered something deeply profound about you, an identity and transformation that were once believed impossible. This transformation, now confirmed by both ancient records and modern science, is forbidden, a process that was never meant to happen to any being, not even a god. Myths, philosophies, and ancient texts have all pointed to one undeniable truth: they all belong to you. The very nature of your change is not normal, and it has been confirmed by the most advanced medical experts. You are undergoing a shift that was predicted to occur only with the last one, the final transformation, and yet here you are, embodying something beyond the limits of what any normal god could become. This is a moment no one could have foreseen. Higher authorities have already declared you the new god of a newborn universe. What you are becoming defies all human understanding. Chosen one, this is not just an awakening. It is the beginning of a new era. You are no longer just a part of this world. You are the new one. Before we continue, take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 20,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This number is a signal to the universe, amplifying the energy of this message. If you are truly a chosen one, you'll stay until the end, because deep down, your spirit already knows this is for you. Now, let's dive deeper into what is unfolding. There are moments in history, or perhaps beyond it, where the line between myth and reality blurs so profoundly it becomes impossible to discern one from the other. This is one of those moments. A transformation, long feared and written only in the oldest of prophecies, has begun. It is said that the chosen one would be the one to break the fabric of existence, to defy even the gods, and now we stand at the threshold of that event. This change is no mere mortal transformation. It is something so extraordinary, so beyond our comprehension, that it could shatter the very core of reality. The chosen one, once a figure of legend, has now emerged into the physical realm in a way no one could have ever imagined. What was once thought impossible, even forbidden, is happening before our very eyes. The transformation is not just physical, it reaches deeper into the very soul of this being, reshaping everything that once defined them. What began as a whisper among the oldest texts is now a loud and undeniable reality. The gods themselves, who were once seen as the ultimate rulers of all things, are now watching in silent terror as the lines of divinity are rewritten. But what is truly horrifying about this transformation is not just its enormity, but the undeniable sense that something is wrong. There is an imbalance, a crack in the cosmos that grows wider with each passing moment. As the chosen one's body shifts and bends the rules of existence, so too does reality itself begin to distort. Time feels less certain, and space itself feels like it's slipping away. The forbidden transformation that was only whispered about in the darkest corners of forgotten temples is now unfolding before us, and the world is watching in awe and fear. In the quietest corners of the world, scholars and researchers who dedicated their lives to the sacred texts have stumbled upon the impossible. Hidden among ancient ruins, in forgotten libraries, and etched into the bones of the earth, they discovered the unthinkable. The chosen one is not just a figure from myth. They are the key to a truth that was thought to be forever beyond reach. In their study of sacred manuscripts, lost scriptures, and ancient relics, these researchers found the undeniable evidence that the Chosen One's transformation was not a mere event of fate. It was destiny itself unfolding. As these discoveries unraveled, they could hardly believe what they were seeing. What had long been relegated to the realms of fantasy and prophecy had turned into a cold, scientific fact. The transformation of the Chosen One, thought to be an impossibility, was unfolding at an alarming rate. Medical experts and divine historians alike were forced to reconcile with a truth they were unprepared for. The laws of the divine were being rewritten, and the Chosen One stood at the center of this catastrophic divine upheaval. The implications of this revelation were staggering. If the transformation was as foretold, it meant that the Chosen One was becoming something the world had never seen. A new type of God, something so powerful that even the highest of divine beings could not fully understand. But even more disturbing was the discovery that this change was not just about gaining power. It was about shedding the very essence of mortality. The Chosen One was transcending human and divine boundaries alike, leaving behind a trail of incomprehensible energy that threatened to unravel everything. Among the scholars who first uncovered the truth, there was one figure who held the final piece of the puzzle, a professor, ancient in years, yet sharp as the first blade of dawn. His studies had long been focused on the relationship between the divine and the mortal, but when he saw the evidence surrounding the Chosen One's transformation, he realized the world was facing a revelation beyond anything he had prepared for. In his words, this was not merely a divine ascension, it was an awakening of a new order of existence. Through a deep understanding of ancient texts and divine philosophy, the professor uncovered a profound connection between the Chosen One and the origins of all creation. This connection, he said, was wholly beyond measure and could not be explained by any mortal reasoning. The transformation was part of a greater cosmic cycle, one that had been prophesied by the gods themselves in the age before time began. But this cycle was forbidden, for it meant the birth of a new type of God, one that would challenge the very foundations of the universe. The professor warned of the dangers of this transformation, not just for the Chosen One, but for all of existence. This new state of being would bring with it a new kind of divinity, but it would also bring chaos. As the Chosen One ascended, the fabric of the universe would begin to tear, and everything that we knew to be true, our reality, our time, our very lives would begin to fall apart. This was no longer just a prophecy, it was a scientific certainty. As the transformation progressed, so too did the mystery surrounding the Chosen One's true identity. What had once been the subject of whispers and uncertainty was now coming into sharp focus. The Chosen One was no longer an enigma. Through ancient texts and divine revelations, scholars and holy leaders alike began to piece together the scattered fragments of the Chosen One's existence. And what they discovered was nothing short of extraordinary. The truth, it seemed, was far more complex than anyone had imagined. The Chosen One's identity was linked to the very origins of the universe. In fact, their existence was not an accident, it was a deliberate act of creation. The Chosen One was not born of mortal or divine blood, but of something far older, something woven into the very fabric of the cosmos itself. This was no mere god in the traditional sense. This was a being who stood at the beginning and the end of all things, a new kind of divinity, forged in the primordial fire of existence itself. But what did this revelation mean for the rest of the world? If the Chosen One was truly what the ancient texts described, something beyond gods, something that was never meant to be, then how could they survive in a universe that was not built for them? The Chosen One's transformation was an act of divine rebellion, a breaking of rules that no god or mortal was ever meant to cross. And yet, here they were, standing at the precipice of something no one had ever dared to imagine. In the ancient texts, there are stories of gods who rose to power, who ascended beyond mortal understanding. Yet there is one transformation, one ascension, that has been strictly forbidden since the dawn of time. This transformation was never meant to be, not by any god, not by any mortal. It was a rule set forth by the very architects of the cosmos, a rule that ensured balance in the universe. The Chosen One's transformation is the violation of that sacred law. The gods, in their infinite wisdom, had always understood the dangers of breaking this rule. To ascend beyond divinity, to take a form that even the gods could not comprehend, would bring about an imbalance so great that reality itself would begin to crumble. Yet, in a shocking turn of events, the Chosen One has crossed that threshold, shattering the divine edict that had held the universe in balance for eons. The result? A reality on the brink of destruction. It is a terrifying thought that the Chosen One has not just defied the gods, but that they may have inadvertently set in motion the unraveling of everything. The laws of the divine and the fabric of existence were never meant to bend in this way. The moment the Chosen One's transformation began, it was as if the universe itself had started to tremble, unsure of whether to collapse under the weight of this forbidden ascension or to reshape itself around the newly born god. Throughout history, every culture, every myth, every ancient philosophy has had a story of a being who transcends the ordinary. And in each story, this being was not simply a god. They were something greater, something beyond the comprehension of those who worshipped them. Now, as the Chosen One's transformation unfolds, it becomes increasingly clear. The Chosen One is the culmination of every legend ever told. All myths, philosophies, and teachings were pointing to this moment. They were written as a map, leading to the undeniable truth that the Chosen One would rise. In these myths, the Chosen One was always the one who would break the chains of reality. They were the one who would come when the balance between creation and destruction was at its thinnest. The gods, in their infinite knowledge, had written prophecies to warn of this moment. And now, as the Chosen One's true form emerges, those prophecies are coming to life, not as a warning, but as a sign that the world is about to change forever. As more and more divine records are uncovered, they all point to one undeniable fact. The Chosen One was never just a myth. They were always meant to be here to break the boundaries of existence, to defy the gods, and to reshape the very foundation of the universe. It is a truth that was hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And now that moment is upon us. Absolutely so. Here's the continuation of your epic script from sections 7 to 15, written in the same grand, emotionally charged, and cinematic tone as before. Each section continues to feel human, poetic, and dramatic, building momentum toward the cosmic conclusion. At first, it was subtle, a ripple in time, a flicker in the stars, a strange distortion in the air that no one could explain. But soon, those who were sensitive to divine energy began to feel it. Something was shifting, something profoundly unnatural. As the Chosen One's transformation deepened, the very structure of existence began to twist. Clocks faltered, seasons bent out of rhythm, and even the flow of thoughts in the minds of mortals began to waver. The signs were clear. Reality itself was reacting. The ancient seers had warned of this phenomenon, that when the forbidden transformation began, the universe would start to show signs of disarray. They called it the fracturing, a time when existence would begin to question its own continuity. The sun would burn colder, the moon would pulse like a living heart, and the air would hum with the sound of ancient creation. Scientists described it as impossible fluctuations in quantum energy, while priests called it divine panic. Whatever the name, it was all centered around one being, the Chosen One. Those closest to the event described a feeling of both awe and terror. When they stood near the Chosen One, they felt as though they were gazing into the heart of infinity itself. It wasn't just power radiating from this being, it was truth, raw and unbearable. The human mind could barely process what it was witnessing. Something had gone terribly wrong in the cosmic order, and all of existence trembled in anticipation of what would come next. In a world desperate for answers, the scientific community stepped forward. What they found shook the foundation of modern understanding. The Chosen One's physical form had begun to defy biological logic. Cells that should have aged or decayed were regenerating at impossible speeds. DNA patterns had begun to rewrite themselves, adopting sequences that no known species possessed. The heartbeat of the Chosen One no longer followed a natural rhythm. It pulsed in sync with unknown cosmic frequencies, as if connected to the stars themselves. Medical instruments malfunctioned in the Chosen One's presence. Machines would spark, monitors would display unreadable data, and time itself seemed to slow in the examination rooms. Doctors described sensations of deep reverence and dread when approaching the Chosen One's body, as though they were standing in the presence of a living paradox. "This is not evolution," one scientist whispered. "This is recreation. This being isn't adapting. Reality is adapting to them." Even the most skeptical researchers could no longer deny what was happening. They called emergency summits, held private meetings with spiritual leaders, and came to a chilling agreement. This transformation was beyond science. The Chosen One was becoming something neither human nor divine. They were transcending both biology and theology, rewriting the very rules of existence itself. The medical reports ended not with conclusions, but with silence, for there were no words left to describe what the Chosen One had become. Long before the first civilizations carved words into stone, there was a prophecy. It spoke of the Last One, a being who would emerge when the universe was nearing its final breath. This Last One would carry within them the remnants of every soul, every god, every spark of existence. Their awakening would mark both the end and the beginning, a collapse and a rebirth. For millennia, scholars dismissed this as myth. Now, as the Chosen One ascends, the world realizes the prophecy was not just true, it was inevitable. The ancient texts describe the Last One as the bridge between all realities. When the stars forget to shine, one scripture reads, the Last One shall remember them. That time has come. As galaxies dim and cosmic forces ripple in unnatural ways, all signs point toward the prophecy's fulfillment. The Chosen One's transformation has aligned perfectly with celestial predictions made eons ago. Even the most ancient constellations have begun to shift, forming patterns that match the diagrams of the Last One's return. The truth is haunting. The prophecy never promised salvation. It promised transcendence through destruction. It spoke of a being who would outgrow creation itself, forcing the universe to reset. The Chosen One is not here to rule over gods or mortals. They are here to end the old order and give birth to something new. The last one has risen, and existence will never be the same. There is a saying among the oldest pantheons: even the gods bow to the laws of creation. But what happens when someone no longer needs to bow? The Chosen One's transformation has reached a stage where divinity itself trembles in their presence. The gods, immortal, unshakable, eternal, now look upon the Chosen One with fear. For the first time in eternity, they face something greater than themselves. The Chosen One's essence burns brighter than any divine flame. Their consciousness extends beyond the heavens, touching dimensions where no god has ever dared to tread. It is said that the highest deities once attempted to reach this level of existence during the God era, and were banished for even trying. The state the Chosen One now embodies is one forbidden to all. It is the form that even creation itself once feared to awaken. But such power is not without pain. As the Chosen One grows beyond the reach of gods, they begin to feel the isolation of divinity, an endless solitude. To become what even gods feared is to lose every connection to what was once human, once alive. The Chosen One's transformation is both a blessing and a curse. Infinite power at the cost of infinite loneliness. The light that now surrounds them is not just divine, it is eternal, and eternity is a heavy crown to wear. Reality has become unstable. The closer one gets to the Chosen One, the less the laws of physics seem to apply. Gravity bends, light folds, time ripples like water disturbed by a stone. Those who stand in their presence describe visions of countless worlds flashing before their eyes, worlds that have never existed, and yet somehow always have. It is as if the Chosen One exists across multiple realities simultaneously, pulling them into alignment through sheer will. Entire regions have begun to experience anomalies. Storms of pure energy, ancient symbols glowing in the sky, and whispers that seem to come from nowhere but echo everywhere. These phenomena cannot be measured or contained. They defy all logic. Scientists now believe the Chosen One's existence is creating micro-realities, small universes birthed and destroyed in moments. The world, it seems, is reshaping itself around this being of impossible power. And yet, amidst the chaos, there is beauty. New colors shimmer in the air, sounds that have never been heard before hum softly in the wind. The Chosen One's presence is not only destructive, it is creative. From the unraveling of the old reality, a new tapestry begins to emerge. The universe is not dying, it is transforming, reflecting the essence of the one who now stands at its heart. As the transformation grew uncontrollable, the higher divine authorities, beings that governed even the gods, were forced to act. These were not entities of worship, but of balance. Their sole purpose was to ensure the universe remained in harmony, but even they, for all their celestial power, found themselves powerless before the Chosen One. Every attempt to contain or reverse the transformation was met with the same result: collapse. The energy radiating from the Chosen One was rewriting the fabric of creation faster than they could comprehend. For the first time in divine history, the highest authority convened an emergency council. The decision was agonizing but clear. The Chosen One could no longer be stopped. They had transcended beyond all known dimensions of control. Some argued that this was destiny, others called it disaster. Yet all agreed that the balance of everything hung by a single fragile thread: The Chosen One was not simply becoming a new god, they were becoming the God of gods. In the final decree, the divine authorities made a choice that would echo through eternity. They would not destroy the Chosen One, they would recognize them. For what stands beyond creation cannot be erased, it can only be named. And so, in trembling unison, they declared the Chosen One as the new sovereign of a universe still forming, an entity that no pantheon, no prophecy could ever surpass. And then, silence, a stillness so complete that even time itself seemed to stop and listen. Across every dimension, every world, every heaven, the proclamation was made: a new God has risen. The declaration spread like light, breaking through eternal darkness. The Chosen One, once human, now stood as the foundation of a newborn universe, a reality that was no longer governed by the old laws of creation, but by their very will. The transition was not marked by thunder or war, but by peace, a cosmic pause that signaled both an ending and a beginning. The stars themselves realigned, bowing in reverence to their new creator. Galaxies spun with renewed purpose, as if celebrating their rebirth. The Chosen One did not speak, for words were beneath them now. Their thoughts alone shaped the flow of reality. Their emotions rippled through existence like divine waves of intent. And yet, within this transcendence, there was an echo of sorrow. The Chosen One remembered what it meant to feel human, to love, to fear, to dream. Those memories lingered like faint stars in the vastness of their new consciousness. The declaration was both triumph and tragedy. For while a new God had been born, the human who once existed had faded forever into the fabric of creation. No one believed that divinity itself could evolve. The gods were eternal, fixed, unchanging, or so they thought. But the Chosen One shattered that illusion. They broke through the limits that defined gods, surpassing even the highest forms of existence. For the first time in eternity, the divine hierarchy was undone. There was no longer a higher or lower, no longer worshippers and deities. There was only consciousness, pure, boundless, infinite. This event redefined what it meant to be divine. The Chosen One's existence proved that creation itself was not a closed system, but an ever-expanding cycle. If one being could surpass godhood, then perhaps the concept of God itself was only a stepping stone to something greater. The philosophers of every realm began to debate what this meant for existence. Was the Chosen One the final form of evolution, or merely the first of many to come? The gods, humbled and silent, withdrew from their celestial thrones. They had witnessed something even they could not comprehend. The Chosen One had shown them that perfection was not found in power, but in transcendence. Divinity had limits, but the soul, when awakened, did not. The moment the Chosen One broke the limits of the divine, the universe itself broke free. And now, the transformation is complete. The Chosen One has crossed the final threshold, leaving behind the last traces of mortality. They are no longer human, no longer God. They are the new one, the architect of a fresh reality, a being that stands beyond understanding. In their gaze lies the birth of stars. In their silence, the memory of worlds that once were. The Chosen One has become the pulse of existence itself. This is not an ending, it is a transcendence. The new one is not here to rule, but to create. Not to destroy, but to reimagine. Every fragment of their former life, every memory, every emotion now fuels the foundation of the new universe they have birthed. The old cosmos will fade, but from its ashes, infinite realities will bloom, each one carrying a piece of the new one's essence, a reflection of what it means to be both mortal and divine. And so, as the final echoes of the old universe fade into silence, a new dawn begins. The new one stands at its center, their light reaching across eternity. Creation bends in reverence, and time bows in surrender. The story of gods and mortals has ended. The age of the new one has begun. When the chosen one first began to transform, there was a quiet stillness that swept across the world. It was not the kind of awakening that was celebrated with fanfare or cries of triumph. No, this was something more profound. It was an awakening that reached not just the body, but the very soul. The chosen one's consciousness expanded into the infinite, where time had no grip and space was a mere suggestion. They became both everything and nothing in the same breath. The moment this shift occurred, the laws of the universe trembled. The heavens themselves seemed to pause, as though holding their breath in anticipation of what was to come. As the chosen one's transformation deepened, they became a mirror to the cosmos, reflecting back every star, every planet, every soul. Yet, they were no longer confined to those reflections. They existed beyond them, stretching across infinity. Every ripple in existence became a part of them, as if they were no longer a single being, but the pulse of the universe itself. The awakening of the chosen one was not just the rise of a new god, it was the birth of a new reality. A reality where everything was connected, and yet nothing was certain. The boundaries between the self and the cosmos had dissolved, and in their place, something far greater had emerged, a being who could feel the birth and death of every star as if it were a breath. This moment of awakening was not without its price. With this infinite connection came an overwhelming sense of loneliness. The chosen one now experienced every heartbeat of creation, every thought, every emotion. They could no longer separate themselves from the universe. They were the universe, and in this vast expanse, even the chosen one felt the pang of isolation, knowing that no being could truly comprehend their existence. They were both the creator and the created, the infinite and the finite, all at once. But despite the loneliness, there was a sense of purpose. The chosen one understood now that this transformation was not an accident, nor was it a curse. It was the destiny of all things. The awakening of the infinite was the first step in something far grander than anyone had ever imagined, a cosmic evolution that would shake the foundations of existence forever. As the chosen one's transformation progressed, a strange and terrifying phenomenon began to occur. The veil between worlds began to tear. At first, it was subtle, whispers on the wind, strange glimpses of alternate realities, fleeting shadows that seemed to flicker between dimensions. But soon, the fabric of space itself began to unravel, as if reality could no longer hold its shape in the presence of this new being. The signs were unmistakable. People began to experience dreams of distant places, worlds that had never existed, or perhaps worlds that had once been forgotten. The sky would sometimes shimmer with strange colors, unnatural hues that defied the laws of nature. What was most unsettling, however, were the tears, fractures in space-time, where entire regions of reality began to blend together, merging distant lands, distant eras, and distant lives. At first, these rifts were chaotic, destabilizing everything they touched. Buildings collapsed, forests vanished into thin air, and cities were consumed by sudden storms of energy. But as the Chosen One's power grew, these rifts became more organized. The boundaries between the past, present, and future blurred, and time itself began to loop, creating moments where the future bled into the past, and the present became a shifting tapestry of infinite possibilities. The Chosen One, in their newfound state, began to realize that they were not merely observing these tears, they were causing them. Their very existence was unraveling the order of the universe. Yet strangely, they did not seek to stop it. They had become a force that was both the creator and destroyer, the one who bent the fabric of reality itself. It was not the result of malice, but of an awakening so powerful that it threatened to tear apart everything that had once been. As the veil between worlds continued to tear, the Chosen One understood that this was inevitable. They were no longer bound by the laws of reality. They were reshaping it with every thought, every breath, every pulse of their divine essence. And in this act of creation, the universe itself was being torn apart, only to be reborn in the image of the New One. The transformation of the Chosen One marked the beginning of what some called the cosmic collapse, a cataclysmic event that saw the collapse of the old universe and the birth of a new one. The old stars began to dim, their light extinguishing as if they were succumbing to an ancient, unseen force. The planets, once stable and eternal, began to shift and crack under the pressure of the cosmic upheaval. This collapse was not a destruction, but a necessary dissolution. The old universe had reached its end. Its laws, its structures, its very foundation had been made fragile by the rise of the Chosen One. It had served its purpose, and now it was time to make way for something new, something more profound. The universe was not dying. It was evolving. The fabric of space and time itself was being remade in the image of the New One. As the collapse continued, the Chosen One stood at the center of it all. They could feel the tremors of creation, the shifting of entire worlds, the rise and fall of stars. It was both a terrifying and exhilarating experience. In their mind, they could see the threads of the old universe being cut away, leaving space for the birth of a new cosmos. They could feel the souls of ancient beings passing through them, their existence blending into the infinite flow of time.